And welcome back, members, to the second half of our very important informational conversation with Dr. Helene Leonetti as we speak about this rampant health crisis that's affecting our youth and ourselves that seems to contribute to problems with diseases and cancers and issues with hormones. Listen and learn.
We know that obesity it's rampant, and tragically, our children are more obese and have more. There's a risk that our children aren't going to live to their parents' life expectancy because of the garbage food that we're putting in our bodies and the inactivity that children, we've taken gym out of the school systems, and children, as you know, as we are, addicted to the internet and to these things that we hold in our hands, and children aren't getting out there, and they're eating fast foods that are just killing us because they're filled with toxic sludge. I mean, we've got Jamie Oliver from England going into our schools, which is beautiful, on primetime TV, teaching middle school teachers and administrators how to serve healthy school food in the school so our children's brains work better. And
that's so important.
So, you're asking me, this is such a big issue. When you get to breast cancer, all doctors, all surgeons, all oncologists are telling their patients absolutely no hormones, including progesterone. Well, if you had the blessing of being the devoted student of Dr. John Lee, who co-authored the book with Dr. Zava, who does all of my saliva testing, what your doctor may not tell you about breast cancer, you'll see all the benefits of natural progesterone in protecting against breast cancer and even giving it to women with breast cancer, which I regularly do. As far as estrogen with women with breast cancer, I'm very mindful and prudent. I will often use vaginally estriol, which is, I believe, 80 times less potent than the more potent estradiol, which is the form of estrogen we produce when we're fertile and ovulating. I'll often put a little bit of estriol with a little bit of testosterone intravaginally to thicken the mucous membranes, to make sex more pain-free, because healthy sex prevents cancer. It enhances our beautiful adrenals and helps us protect against disease. Happiness.
And also keeps us happier.
Well, and happiness prevents cancer. It's hard to, we know that people that get cancer are often depressed and angry and are always in a state of poor me and victimhood. And this lowers and puts our immune state in intensive care and holds us.
Oh, most definitely. Now, I applaud Michelle Obama, for focusing on the foods that the children are eating. But a lot of people are complaining that the caloric intake that she is prescribing is too little. And I don't know about that. I'm looking at the difference in the fats, because we do need to be eating fats. Fats are important, but we have to have those clean fats, as you mentioned before. But Dr. Helene, what about the extreme opposite? Where these beautiful women are trying to look like runway models. Everyone wants to be a size 0 now. And they're running around and eating very little fat. And if they're eating any fat, then it is the hydrogenated, the bad fats. Where do we go in looking at
they're
that?
killing themselves. Well, first of all, brain cells need fat. We have 50 to 100 trillion cells in our body, and every cell membrane is comprised of a bilayer of fat. And we need fats desperately for our cells to love each other, themselves, and communicate with each other and themselves. And without a certain amount of body fat, we do not menstruate, we do not ovulate. Probably the hardest people, because of the emotional baggage that's connected to their self-loathing, are the people with food disorders, the bulimia, the anorexia. This is the underpinnings of self-loathing, because you can't love yourself and starve yourself and have such a distorted image. I mean, we remember Karen Carpenter was 60 pounds when she died, and she would look in a mirror and see fat. And it goes back to, I think when she was a young girl, she was chided by being chubby. And she took that to heart and incorporated that self-loathing, that critique into her very cell tissue, into her pain body, and lived that distorted thinking her whole life. And, you know, a beautiful light was extinguished because of that disillusionment, that distorted thinking. First of all, counting calories is an absurdity. It obviously diets don't work, and you deprive yourself, you go on a diet, which is like a vacation, you have to come back. The secret is eating calories densely, nutritionally sound, and fat is an important part of that. And the omegas in appropriate fashion, good quality fish oil, good quality flax oil, eating foods, olive oil, beautiful, never light, because you want the extra virgin, you want the first part of the olives being squeezed where all the nutrients are. Coconut oil, and this is a non-hydrogenated, saturated fat. We were trained in the 60s. I mean, when I was in nursing school, I was warned that saturated fats were deadly for your heart. And so we invented corn and canola oil, which is really deadly for your heart, particularly because the corn is the most genetically modified product probably on the planet besides soy. So the bottom line is we need fats, and we get some in different vegetables. Yes, I mean, you know, there are teachings that eat to live, and I believe Joel Fuhrman wrote the book Eat to Live. To me, it's too extreme. It's a lot of vegetables. I think vegetables should be the majority of what we eat, but I think eating a pound of broccoli a day or raw or whatever is a little extreme. I think it's wonderful to have good quality fish if we can still find it, and there's no problem of meat or chicken in small amounts as a condiment size, as long as it's hormone and antibiotic free. But we absolutely need fats, and that is fats, proteins, vegetables, and water should be the best, and fruits, of course, should be what we eat every day. So the most important thing is fresh or frozen vegetables, and out of a can, there's probably no excuse to eat out of a can, particularly because they're lined with that bisphenol A, toxic estrogen carcinogen. Why would we do that? This is all dead food. We want live food. We want to put live food in our body because food is our medicine. And
that goes to another question about the raw food journey, where people are eating all foods completely and totally raw. Is that healthy? Is that sound? Because from my research, I found that some foods are better, when heat is applied.
Absolutely. You know what, Tamara? I'm going to just say that word that we both love, balance. Anything that's all or none has to be looked at with suspect.
Yes.
Right? I mean, first of all, the raw food addicts they love what they do, and they spend hours dehydrating their food and making it delicious. I have no time to have 100% raw diet, nor would I want to. I love my mahi. I love my beans that I make with my string beans and black sesame seeds and caramelized onions. I think a 40 to 60% raw diet, which I realize I do prudently every single day. I make a shake with a green powder called Nature's Greens that one of my wonderful herbal buddies makes, and I suggest that my patients all consider it. The recipe is on my website, and I mix it with frozen blueberries and banana and some strawberries and either almond milk or some juices, and I make this wonderful smoothie shake, which is my breakfast with my black coffee, my Starbucks. And then lunch, I have a big organic salad with nuts and seeds and avocado and every vegetable in different colors because every single different colored vegetable has nutritional benefits that are so wonderful. And I put extra virgin olive oil and the juice of half of a lime, and I put lots of ground pepper, which is anti-inflammatory and so good for you, and some sea salt. So that's my two first meals. And then at night, I'll have a piece of fish, and I'll have vegetables, and definitely have to have chocolate. I mean, the sun can't set on a day without dark chocolate. So, and wine, and some Heineken, and a little tequila, red wine. I mean, this is the balance. And water being the main drink during the day, preferably with lemon or lime, because it alkalinizes the pH. So, asking all raw, I don't think that's healthy. All cooked, why not balance? And why not eat under your own tree? That's the other thing. Our carbon footprint is outrageous because we're dragging things from one end of the country to the other, when people who understand sustainable living and farming eat from under their own tree. That was the teaching of Nishio Kushi of macrobiotic fame. It makes perfect sense.
It really, really does. I mean, and eating in season. Here in Washington State, I'm so fortunate that there's so many local farms that even deliver not just to the farmers market, but to the major supermarket chains, because it's here. We do have a short growing season, but it's still very prolific and it's very fresh, and that's ideal. I mean, everyone should really do the best that they can, and grow your own as much as you can. That's a great deal of fun, a great connection, wonderful for children, to really get in there and connect with their food.
To watch a seed being planted and then see the first little blade of green. Tamara, we are getting back to our future. We are going, to that place where the family work together at growing their food, even if it's just in little pots outside your deck or in the city, that you have things that you can show your children, that you could show them the magic of growth and how our beautiful earth needs to be sustained and loved and respected. I mean, we have so much to stimulate us, and we have so much at our fingertips that we can't appreciate the beauty and the magic of where it comes from. And our children are our future, so they need to be seeing this. They need to see how the birds and the butterflies are there to help cross-pollinate things. We need to see that when we destroy the monarch butterflies because we're using Roundup Ready pesticides, then the very essence of our existence is being questioned. We can't be brain dead to how the interconnectedness of everything.
It's so very real. And another thing, Helena, that I've found, because of course I went through my path of veganism, as well. That was my effort of dealing with certain food allergies that I had. And I just said, oh, okay, we'll just take it all out. but that's another story and another show. But there's compassionate meat eating, and and taking it back to being connected with your food, that you get together with a group, and perhaps it's more affordable to go to an organic farm where your lamb or your cow is grass fed and he's living a healthy life, and you go together as a group and you can purchase the slaughtered healthy meats together.
Absolutely. And show
I think
gratitude.
people would eat less meat if they had an
Absolutely.
actual connection with that beautiful cow.
Absolutely. And darling, there is nothing wrong with being a meat eater or a chicken eater. And, it's true, there are science behind what preference we have. And I do believe D'Amico's book, Eat for Your Blood Type, if I'm saying his name wrong, D'Amato or D'Amico, Dr. Eat for Your Blood Type, there is something to be said. Omnivores are usually, I believe, type O, and they thrive with meat, and they do terrible with vegetarianism. I, as an A blood type, I'm a fish vegetarian and don't feel well when I eat meat. I'll do it sometime. I have no ethical, moral issue. The moral, ethical issue I have is harming our animals by putting them in factory farms and treating them without respect and just torturing them without and the most important thing, whatever we eat, if it can't be organically farmed, we bless it, we pray over it, and ask that it be good and sound for our bodies, that we're here to do God's work, and we need sustenance, and food is our medicine. If we're in a particular situation where it's not available or we can't afford it, we need to transcend that you need to do this and you must do that and all these shoulds, woulds, coulds, and just bless it and ask, because intention is so vital. Yes. Intention is so vital for our behavior and our growing in our evolutionary awareness on this planet.
Oh, most certainly. And Helena, that idea of deprivation, you spoke about trusting and moving towards what's natural for you. Your body will tell you what it is that you need. And when we deprive ourselves and continue to tell ourselves what's wrong with these ideologies and pushing against our own inner guidance, that is not self-love.
No, not at all. And again, if you think about it, all of these contrived mandates, as it were, come from the outside.
Yes.
When we tap into our own internal doctor, which we all have, which is basically Source, God speaking, then we're never deceived. We're never given any information with agendas. It's always what's for our highest good, because we are so connected with Source. I always say we're raindrops in God's ocean. There's no separateness between Source and us. And what separates us is our illusion. It's our personality that says, I'm different from you, and thus you're to be feared and I'm not to be. But if we look at what's germane and what's at the basis of all of us, we're all one. We're all one. And we're mirrors for each other. We're just total mirrors for each other.
Oh, we certainly are. I believe that we've been sold a bill of goods about what relationship is about. You read the fairy tales, you see the romance movies. There's this happily ever, ending. But the thing is that the relationship is not all about roses every day. It's a beautiful balance between, support, but also, some resistance too. I always say I want someone who can tell me how beautiful I am and how adorable that I am. But I also want them to tell me when I need to brush my teeth.
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we have this illusion that everything is supposed to be perfect all the time, and they're supposed to do everything that we say, and they're supposed to never question us. But that's not growth. And for me, that's what relationship is about. You know, those people will mirror to us what's going on within us, and then we move through that together. And I think there's beauty in recognizing that rather than expecting that perfection.
Yeah, there's perfection in our imperfection.
There
and
we go.
Is the key to self-growth. And I realize, again, you know, my personal journey, which is so many women's journey, is that I looked for that knight in shining armor, and the poor guy or girl can never live up to that expectation. And
Right.
obviously, we dash our illusions. And the secret that I finally got to, that I've grown to understand, and how it manifests in inviting the perfect mate for me that I have finally, after all these, you know, dysfunctional marriages and relationships, is that my self-love, acceptance, and self-forgiveness and compassion for me, for all of my frailties and foibles and all of my non-wise choices, that ability to accept that in me can accept that in other. And it's the only way we could accept it in other, when we have it ourselves.
That's right. And not beating up on ourselves because we left a relationship. You know, that old adage that you're supposed to find that one and you're supposed to stay there forever no matter what. That's a bold lie.
That is a bold lie. As we grow and advance and evolve, we invite people into our lives that we assist each other on that evolution. So that idea, and you know, I mean, look at what I do. I do love the delicious chaos in our world. I love the fact that we're accepting gay marriages, and that I love that we have a president that's been willing to change his mind on whether this is something to fight for. I love that we're looking to make everyone have insurance, that they could have health care. In the greatest country in the world, we are 21st in infant mortality. We have, you know, our health is so dependent on our class and our zip code. That should not be. You know, as a healer, as a trained nurse and now physician, it appalls me that I see different levels of care being given dependent on where somebody lives, or, you know, what job they hold or don't hold. And that is not acceptable. We're all one in God's world. And
we certainly are.
We're speaking politics, which of course, you know, will get lambasted, but I don't care. I think everybody deserves to have an ability to go and get genuine care, loving, genuine care, regardless of who they are. And I love that we have somebody who had the guts to put this out there, even knowing it's messy and not perfect. We work on it. We work on it together instead of, you know, being politically absurd and wanting to shut down government in order to not have this go through. Anybody who's opposed to what's going on has obviously not read it, has obviously not seen that there are many indications for helping prevent disease, which is obviously the way, and for ways of maintaining vibrant health once it's achieved. You know, everybody's just kicking it off. And everybody has agendas, you know, the insurance industry, the industrial medical complex is the one fighting hardest against this because they feel that there's so much to lose. But how could you live in a world where you know that 40 million people get inferior care? How could one live that way, knowing? I mean, is not the internet in our face? Do we not see people suffering every day, everywhere? How could we?
Well, that's the beauty of the internet. It makes the world smaller. We can connect with one another so that nobody can turn their back, because it's right there in your face. You're seeing it. We're all, like you said, we are really all connected, but some choose to ignore, but we can't ignore anymore. And that's why I love having this platform so that I can help people to wake up. Everyone who is needing to hear this type of information, on a fiercely independent, radio program where people can speak their truth and share. I'm just so grateful to be able to offer it, I have a theory that no one should be able to hold office unless they have actually experienced all the different layers of life. I think someone who has grown up in poverty, someone who has been on that in the wrong zip code, if you want to say it that way, someone who's had less. I think that kind of a person would be able to govern, because they would have that compassion from the other side, not someone who was raised with a silver spoon in their mouth.
Yeah, which has been the good old boy network. Well, the beautiful thing is that, when I talk about Marianne Williamson, and I spent a weekend via teleseminar because she's in Los Angeles, but she had a big coming together called Sister Giant, where she had the audacity to suggest that more women involve themselves in politics, which has always been looked at as dirty business. But women know how to compromise. They know how to listen. They know how to network. They know how to come together for the common good, because we have been responsible for running the family, for rearing the children, for grinding the grain. And, I think more and more that it's time that we take the ugly implications of the politician and say, why not consider it? Why not make it a noble pursuit? Medicine was a noble pursuit. I mean, William Osler is kind of like the father of modern medicine, and he, I could paraphrase him, but basically that every person is an individual, and everyone needs a different therapy. And the way to find out what therapy is needed is to listen, and also look at the person in the family unit, because you don't separate out a patient and then send them back to an abusive family setting where they're eating rat-infested food or no food at all and expect that they're going to heal. It's more of looking at the whole rather than the individual. And you can't do that when you're being forced to see 30 patients a day, which is toward the end of my 50-year tenure as a nurse and physician. That's what I was being asked to do. You can't listen to the story to find out what is the strength and what is the weakness of this individual sitting before me, and how can I best engage them in developing their healing program. I'm not here to fix a person at all. Who am I? I could fix me. But I have the tools, and most importantly, the love and the presence to listen, truly listen with full attention at my patient's story and ask the right questions about abuse, about where they are in terms of how they love or despise their mate, their job. One can't be healthy if you're harboring hate and resentment and anger and sexual abuse or physical abuse that's never been healed. You cannot be healthy because it's all connected.
Cannot. You cannot. And that would speak to why depression is on the rise. So many people have so many secrets, so much pain that they haven't resolved and worked through. And that goes to that depression. That goes to all kinds of negative manifestations in the world.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I think, my book, Hardwired for Love, I wrote as an autobiography with all of my baggage hanging out. my depression, my suicide, my dysfunctional relationships. I wanted to tell the story, not to say, look at me, look at me, but really look at me as now a physician who is healed on so many levels, who was so broken on so many levels. Let me show you, let me give you the courage to look at how this is possible. And that's really what we need to do. We need to hear each other's stories, not to be in a pity party.
Right.
I don't believe in staying in sexual abuse groups and, these groups that we go on and we're regurgitating every single instant
and over again.
And not moving forward, and also not acknowledging on some level, whether it's a soul level, how we co-created that.
Oh, that is key.
And
we can live our lives from total human consciousness, or we can live it from total spiritual soul consciousness, or we can, again, find that word that we love, that balance, with looking at it from both ends.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's only, and it doesn't make you less than, better than, it just makes you, like we say, human. And when we acknowledge how we co-created certain unsavory, horrific experiences in our life, that helps our growth. It also gives us the compassion to move beyond it and to reach out to those who are suffering and stuck in that same illusion that they can't heal.
Right. And the recognition that all the so-called bad guys, the people that hurt us or did whatever they did, they were really main players, in getting us to where we are today.
They were our best teachers. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we need to bless them and recognize that they held a place in our life that was responsible for catapulting us into a newer dimension of self-love and awareness, which is all about, why we're here. I know the Buddha, I think when the Buddha was dying, his cellos were lying around at his feet saying, Master, Master, are you God? No. Master, Master, are you the one? No. Master. He said, no, none of that. I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm awake to the divinity that's in each and every one of us. That's what it's all about. It's just being awake.
Oh, isn't it? Isn't it? That's what it's all about. Oh, let's all just wake up and to recognize that everything is good. If we call it good, then it is good. Helene Leonetti, Hardwired for Love. Nurture yourself to vibrant health. That's Helene's beautiful book, and that's what we've been speaking about today. And I'm so grateful that everybody who's been able to partake of this will be able to pass it on to everyone that you know. We have our sisters and our brothers out there who all need to be reminded of who we really are. We need to be nurtured, and we need to be sometimes pushed to that place of being whole and complete. Well, Helene, I just thank you so much, because you're definitely a sister soldier in this wonderful work and helping to usher us to wholeness. I hope that you'll come back to the show. I just love speaking with you. Thank you.
Well, Tamara, I love the opportunity that you've given me, and there is no doubt in my soul and my mind that we are soul sisters connected. And when we do God's work, when we do what we were sent here to do, we do create a tipping point, a critical mass, as it were, that ultimately it's going to be seen that the things that we speak with such passion are ultimately going to be. And we're seeing them unfold. We're seeing them unfold. Not fast enough for me, certainly, but they are unfolding. And for this I say, thank you, God. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And I thank you for listening. Definitely want to get hardwired for love. Nurture yourself to health, vibrant health, by Helene Leonetti. Until next time, take excellent care of yourself. And remember, that you have got an initially completely and totally unique pattern that you were meant to manifest in the world. Do it. Step up and shine. Peace and blessing.